Hello out there. Welcome to Quandary Quest. How is everybody doing today? I can't hear your answers, but I hope you are doing fantastic. And if you are not, things always get better. So don't forget that. And I know that's cliche. Everybody says that stuff, but it's true. Everybody goes through stuff, and you can do it too. You can make it. I believe in you. So, in the spirit of doing stuff, I have decided to finally give this thing a go and spark off on the podcast journey. So, we'll see where it leads. And, I've got a lot of questions. And I think that we all need some answers. And we're going to go through this together. We're going to find what answers we can. And if we can't find the answers, that's okay too. Sometimes you can't get the answers, and we have to learn to be okay with that. I think that's a big issue for a lot of people. When they can't find the answers to something or they don't understand it, it makes them scared. But the reality is that there are plenty of things you will never know the answer to. At least not in this life. And you just gotta learn to be okay with that. And I think, I honestly think that it makes life so much more fascinating with all the mysteries, like all of the unanswered questions, the what ifs, and just the things that make you scratch your head, the things that make you go, are the most fascinating things to me. I love learning about that kind of thing. There was just a motorcyclist that passed by. Hopefully you couldn't hear that. I'm gonna try and cut out what I can of it. But I am downstairs in my living room, just recording this in my bay window area where all the light is. And I just wanted to kind of get going and talk about some things. Lots of stuff going on in the world. And I always ask, is it that there's so much more stuff going on in the world? Or is it that information is shared so quickly nowadays that we just hear it way faster than we would have before? I mean, there were people when the Titanic sank who didn't know until a month later that happened, because they lived out in the middle of Iowa or something. So information just travels so fast nowadays, and it just makes you wonder which it is. Because, when you look back in history, times have always been crazy. The more people you got, the more crazy it gets. And we've got a lot of people. I'm not of the opinion that we are overpopulated by any means. I've heard that if we took the whole population of the world and we put them in apartment buildings, I have no idea how high or whatever, we could fit everybody in the state of Texas. Whether that's true now or not, I don't know, because I heard this years ago and we were maybe at 6 billion. And we've increased since then, of course. I think we are on our way to 9 billion, maybe. I just, I don't think that the world is overpopulated. I just think that people need to figure out better ways to manage themselves and the planet and their trash. We have to figure out how to do something with all the trash that we make. Alright. I keep trying to kind of pause the recordings when there's traffic coming or extra loud things happening, but I can't quite help all of the audio leakage, and I hope you forgive me for that. But anyway, back to the trash. In the future, the Earth is literally going to be like Wall-E, if anybody's seen that recently. The little robot who's a trash compactor, and he's like the only little guy left on the planet, and he's just making little cubes of trash and stacking them sky high and making literal skyscrapers out of garbage. That's what I feel like the Earth is going to look like if we don't straighten up and figure out a way to reuse. You're telling me that we can't mass melt plastic down and make it into new things? I know that there are people who make stuff on YouTube out of panini press and bottle caps and stuff. Like, you can't tell me that there's not a way to process plastic to mass produce some other thing. Like, they cleaned up a river in Bali, maybe? I can't remember. It was recently, but it took forever for them to clean this up, and it was like 2 million pounds of garbage just chilling in this river. They cleaned it up, and they recycled everything, and they made these really neat plastic chairs out of all of the bags and all of the refuse that they found. They tried to, as far as I know, reuse every little piece of garbage that they found, and most of it sadly was plastic. But even like the random flip-flops that they find, they somehow use those to make new shoes and stuff. So it's really, really cool, and I think that that could totally be done. And there are other projects going on, like the teenager that created the giant sieve for the ocean to scoop out all of the garbage from the Pacific garbage patch. It is a literal island made of garbage, and from all of the currents in the ocean, it's just collected in this one spot out in the middle of the Pacific, and it is disgusting. We are so dirty, and it's so sad because a lot of our garbage washes up on other beautiful places, shores, like the Philippines, all these islands and stuff. The garbage just washes up and their shores become filled with all of this garbage, and it's so beautiful there, except for the garbage, and it's not even their fault. But they don't, in the Philippines, they do not even have trash men or people that come and pick up the trash. They don't have things like that there. We had a friend of ours who went to the Philippines, and he visited a family there. And don't tell me how he got that connection or found those people, but he got to go over there, and he said it was so sad because it's completely different than here. We actually have it way better than people would have you believe. And we just take it for granted. They don't have anybody to come pick up any of the garbage. So there was like a dead dog chilling on the side of the road the whole time that he was there, because nobody's there to remove anything like that. They don't have that type of thing. And it's crazy. It's very sad. But I'm not, completely sure about like the government in the Philippines and how it's run. I have no idea about. So I just discovered that I had been talking, and I forgot to press record. I just love it when that happens, don't you? I had been talking about the government in the Philippines and not being sure how it's run there, but they don't have any garbage men or people to pick up the trash. So, yes, and just a general, we need to clean up our act. We really do, and there's gotta be some way we can figure it out. Okay, so I actually started to look up some things about the Philippines just to make sure that I was actually correct about that. I started to doubt myself there for a second, but I mean, I use DuckDuckGo, but literally all of the things that pop up, there aren't any from this year. They were from 2023, it looks like. August 2023. The Philippines produces 61,000 million. What? That's how it says it. 61,000 million metric tons of waste daily. Let that sink in. Daily. That's crazy. 61,000 million metric tons of waste daily. 24% of which is plastic. And the Philippines had the largest share of global plastic waste discarded in the ocean in 2019. So I guess it is kind of their fault as well. I mean, it's everybody's fault, really. We have got to fix this issue. I know Sadhguru in India, he was pulling for a ban on single-use plastics, and I think it might have went through. I'm not sure, but he does a whole bunch of ecological, like, awareness, fundraiser type things, events, whatever you want to call them, to get people to, realize the issues that we are polluting our earth very badly. October 10th, 2023, Philippines dominates global ocean plastic pollution chart. The face of plastic. The Philippines is considered the third largest contributor to plastic waste worldwide. Yeah, crazy. And just the images that I'm seeing here, I mean, it's like a landfill on the ocean. You can't even see the shore. It's just completely covered in just trash. And it says something here. Okay, it says, like many rapidly developing countries, the Philippines grapples with unsustainable plastic production to consumption and insufficient solid waste management infrastructure. So yeah, they don't have stuff like, we do here, where we just take it and pile it up real high in one single place. Like that's any better. I don't know anything about how that works. Do they have trash cans over there? Do they have dumpsters or they just chuck it on the ground and it ends up on the beach? Like, how does it work? They all just go to the beach and throw their trash on the beach? I don't know. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. And when you see like those cute videos of those little kids from Africa dancing, obviously that's not the Philippines, but it's people are more impoverished over there, and it's very sad. But they they don't know any different. They're still all smiles and it's beautiful. But those cute videos of those kids from Africa dancing, sometimes they'll be dancing on like the ground and it'll have tons of rubble and trash and everything, and behind them it'll just be trash and rubble and bricks and like all kinds of stuff, and it's like so sad. But the kids don't know any different, and they're so happy. They seem absolutely content, and it's so beautiful. And it's probably because they spend a lot of their time outside and a lot of their time with other kids, unlike kids in America who never want to go outside and never want to socialize unless it's over FaceTime or Instagram or TikTok or something. you know, it's crazy. Or email. That's a big thing now. Who would have thought people actually talk through email? Maybe I'm just out of the loop, but I've never talked to anybody through email. Most of it's just junk. It's filled with junk mail. And stuff about getting foreign wives, and I don't know why I get sent that kind of thing, but who knows? That, it's actually foreign wives and erectile dysfunction. What? Where are they getting their info? That's what I want to know. Why am I getting these emails? Anyway, that's off topic. But yes, we gotta figure out something and, be more sustainable as a whole. Whether it's narrowing things back down to just local small communities, and each small community is responsible for themselves rather than being a massive nation that can't really be looked at. It's like when you have a teacher and the teacher has 30 students. She's a lot less likely to be able to have her undivided attention on a single student at any given time because there's just too many to manage. Unlike if she would have, like 5 students in her class, she would actually be able to give each child a chance at, asking questions and, figuring things out a little bit better because she can actually sit there and has the time to explain to the kids how stuff works rather than being pulled in 30 different directions. Smaller might be better, but whatever we do, we gotta figure something out. We need a complete restructure of everything, the education system, the country, everything. And it's not just the US, it's everywhere right now. Pretty much anywhere, pretty much anywhere that's involved in, the WEF, the World Economic Forum, or a part of NATO. I would say the NATO nations. And all these countries act like they don't get along, but behind closed doors, they really kind of do get along, and they just make a show of it. And I don't understand that. But yeah. Alright, when I said I don't know why it seems like everybody gets along behind closed doors, but not in public, all these nations and everything. And I think it's because that's another tactic of divide and conquer. Because they've already divided us in so many other ways that nationality is next on the list. So they pit this nation against that nation to inspire division even further, as if it wasn't enough already. Like, we gotta each be in our own little boxes, and we can't be outside of them at all, otherwise, you just don't fit in. And it's just crazy. It's crazy. I say if these big powerful people want things like war, then maybe they should fight each other. How about that? Rather than sending perfectly, youthful young men and women sometimes into wars that they don't belong in, or tell them that they're fighting for one thing when in reality they're fighting for another. It's crazy. And I'm going to do my best to actually get some clips and things, about these people that come back from like Iraq and Afghanistan and having seen what really happened there and what they were told the mission was, or what they were told they were fighting for, being completely different than what they found out it was, or what it ended up being in the end. Wow, can you hear that? We're gonna go one more time. I don't know if you can hear that train. Looks like it on the sound. Whatever you want to call it, the little sound wave. Shoot, I lost what I was talking about. Well, yeah, I'll get more clips and of people who have actually went there. I'm pretty sure that Jimmy from Bright Insight, that's his YouTube channel, he has awesome videos, and he was in the military, and he was in Iraq, I believe, and I guess the military and time spent overseas really opened his eyes to a lot of things, and he fortunately even got to see some of the Sumerian statues. It's like, I can't remember what they're called, but it's like a man and a lion combined. It's like the head of a man and the body of a lion. They might even have wings. I honestly can't remember, but they were Sumerian, very ancient. And then ISIS came in. I think it was ISIS. People came in and just demolished it. Just leveled everything. So, I know one of the places that you can actually go see a couple of these massive statues, the Sumerian statues, and I think it's the Chicago Museum of Arts or something like that, I want to say. I could be wrong. I want to say Chicago has a really amazing arts museum, like ancient art from Egypt and all over, and I would absolutely love that. I don't know about any of you all, but I have always been fascinated with Egypt. For some reason, I've always kind of just been called to it. When I was a little kid, one of my first books that I ever read was about King Tut, and I thought it was the most fascinating thing that when the explorers who found the tomb actually opened it up, before they did so, there was an inscription saying, I don't know, they'll be plagued with 1,000 rhinos in the river of this, and all this crazy stuff, that bad stuff was going to happen to them should they open this tomb. And well, quite a few people, I believe, even the main guy, ended up dying not so long after. I want to say the main guy got like a giant like cyst or something, or some type of big I don't know, infection, some type of something, a big bite, a sting, something swollen on his face, I believe. And he ended up passing away. It was crazy. I was like, whoa, is that what that meant? Or people debated whether it could have also been the fact that that was trapped air from thousands of years ago with a whole bunch of diseases potentially floating around. I don't know if that's possible. I never looked into that. But that's what people say. It could have happened. Maybe they released some diseases that hadn't seen the light of day in a long time. But yeah, Egypt. Always been fascinated by it. I could probably talk forever about Egypt, because I feel like no one really knows what's going on there. Really. Amazing. Just the way they try to explain them being cut and quarried, and from where, and how far away. How far away. And I don't think people understand the scope of these stones. It's just amazing. And to think how many they would have to lay, like, per hour in order for it to be done in, like, a 20-year time span. Or even a minute, how many they would have to lay a minute. And these are gigantic stones. I mean, they're like multiple cars heavy, at least. Probably more so. I mean, they're huge. I don't think anybody can really grasp how big they are without going there and seeing how tall it is. I've never been. I would absolutely love to go. I hear it's kind of strict over there with, like, I don't know, travelers and cameras and, I don't know, things. And, but I know that there are tour groups, and I would love to do that someday. That would be awesome. And to see the Sphinx, and how the head doesn't match the body, and how there are bricks in there from the Egyptians repairing it. But if the Egyptians were repairing it, then that means that it wasn't new. That means that they didn't build it. That the body is possibly older than the head. And the head just does not match. It's too small. And they were really great with proportions and all kinds of different things. I think that's something that they would have noticed. Yeah. Strange things in Egypt. Strange things. Like, why isn't there soot on the inside of the pyramids? If they... I mean, what did they have back then? Obviously not electricity, because when was that invented? Well, Benjamin Franklin figured it out. What year that was, I couldn't tell you. Let's see. It'd probably be late 1700s, early 1800s. That's my guess. I honestly don't know off the top of my head, really, but electricity wasn't invented till way after the Egyptians were dead and gone, long gone. And so, what were they using to light the inside of these pitch black spaces up? Well, what? If there's no soot? The Sistine Chapel has literally had to be repaired and restored from all of the years, the hundreds of years of candles being burnt in the place. And probably the sacrament smoke and all that kind of thing. But yeah, they had to restore that, and that's even younger than the pyramids are. So tell me, what did they use to light up the inside? What were they for? What was that giant rectangular granite box that's empty for? Anybody have the answer to these questions? I would really love to know. I know that there's theories, but I don't think anybody will ever have answers. The fact that the oldest ones are the best, and then as you go forward in time, they get worse. What? These are things that we are going to delve into, and I'm going to do my best to find and dig up as much stuff as I can, about as much as I can. I absolutely love to learn, and I feel like if you're not learning something, then what's the point, really? If you're doing the same thing every day, and you're not learning anything new at all, just repetition, what are you here for? What is the point? I want to learn as much as possible. I want to learn as much as possible, and that's my goal. I have so many theories about things, and so many things I want to talk about with other people, and I hope to get some guests on. Maybe I can take phone calls and talk with people. It's gonna take a bit for me to warm up and get good at this, so I hope people bear with me. And we all gotta start somewhere. But yeah, I want to talk about a little bit of everything. Those deep thoughts and all kinds of thoughts. Anywhere in between conspiracies, which aren't really conspiracies anymore. But, the Alex Jones was right jar is getting pretty full. Just saying. But yeah. I was thinking about maybe talking about other podcasts that I enjoy as well and suggest, but everybody's different, and that's okay. Everybody likes what they like. So, and in that same light, really, I would have to say, always remember this. I never, ever mean anything to be offensive or come across as offensive, and I detest the fact that I even have to preamble this. Yeah, the fact that I even have to mention anything about not wanting to hurt anybody's feelings. I mean, it just goes to show how crazy today's times are. But, how many people will really listen to the first episode of a podcast? Not many. So, maybe one day when people go back. But, yes. There might be jokes, and there might be talks, and there might be theories, and none of it at all is ever intended to offend or hurt anybody. Ever. And I don't want to have to keep repeating that or be called names or whatever. I'm sure that'll happen someday. If people actually listen to this, I'm sure that'll happen. You can't be in the public eye without being persecuted in some way for some reason. But nobody's perfect. And show me the perfect person. There aren't any. I haven't found one yet, and I doubt I ever will. And that's okay. Nobody's perfect. We're all flawed. So. But yes. What is life but the never-ending search for knowledge? What is it? Really? I don't know. When people say that they're bored, I honestly can never relate. I feel like I love so many things and I love to do so many things that I don't have enough time to do everything that I want to accomplish. And then I get so overwhelmed with the feeling of I have so much to do that I end up doing nothing. And possibly staring at my phone, like wandering around on Pinterest or something. Or watching YouTube videos. Because I love to watch people make things. And I love stuff about history. So, and theories, all kinds of stuff. But, yeah. Nothing is ever intended to hurt anybody. I love everybody and I wish we all could get along. I really do. I wish people could see that we're a lot more alike than we realize. And, we need to open up our eyes and see that the wool is trying to be pulled over them. But it's getting ever so slightly frustrating. I don't know if it's because, well, I don't know if it's because my phone is on its way to dying, or if it's just the sound recorder thing that I'm using on my phone, but it keeps stopping in the middle of what I'm saying. And then I lose track of what I said, and it's really messing with my flow, man. It's really messing with my flow. I'm gonna have to figure something else out. But, yeah. Starting something new is one of the hardest things. Where do you begin? It's so difficult, because there's never really a beginning, just like there's never really an end. You know, you just kind of jump in the middle and call that your beginning. So, beginning is difficult. And knowing how to end things on not an awkward note, that's something I have yet to master. I never know how to get out of a conversation. So, I just kind of like sidestep my way out. Sometimes literally. And, hope that they don't think that I'm rude. But I do get pretty awkward depending on who I'm talking to and how well I know them. And so sometimes it takes me a minute to kind of feel people out and know that it's okay. You can be cool with them, you know. And some people are just so high-strung and difficult to manage. But the truth is, I don't meet very many of those people. But I know that they're out there because I've met them before. And they may not be many, but they're loud. They are loud. What is it? What's that quote? The squeakiest wheel gets the most oil, or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's wrong, but kind of true, you know? Everybody's over here throwing tantrums and crying like babies when they're like grown adults. Sometimes really grown adults. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? What happened to you to make you think that you could behave this way in public? Maybe one day I'll share some of my crazy stories of working in restaurants for forever. My current job now is my first job that hasn't been with food in some form. I've had all different kinds of food jobs, from catering to working at a country club to working fast food. It's crazy. And I honestly think that everybody, when they turn old enough to begin to work, everybody should be required to work at least maybe 6 months in a service industry job before they can go out and get another job. Because then maybe then they would see how service people are treated. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. Like, you know, we're the ones just here doing our job, and then we get our asses chewed out because some rule we didn't make. And we should do this, and we should do that. And me, I want. It's insane. I'm just gonna have to write all of the craziness down to remember them all. And, or remember as many as I can. Maybe I could collect some from my coworkers. Yeah, that would be funny. There's been some crazy stories. But, yes, people definitely need to be nicer to the service industry people. And since I have so many different interests and things, I do tend to kind of skip around all over the place, and I apologize for that ahead of time. I might do that in the future as well. Just warning you. So yeah, ending things is always difficult. I don't know about you guys, but that's one of the hardest things to do is to quit something. I mean, think about it. Think about an addiction that you might have. An addiction to... Everybody has an addiction. Literally everybody. And it really, really pisses me off when I see those bumper stickers. They say, shoot your local heroin dealer. Those are people. Those are people too. Yeah. Those are people too. And, people do what they gotta do to make a living sometimes. And it might not be right. And it might be bad in the eyes of most people. And sure, it does have a negative impact. But, I don't think that most heroin dealers are doing it to make people overdose or kill people, because then who would their customers be? They don't do it for that. They do it to get by most of the time, I would say. And some people just ended up in that situation from how they grew up, or there are many things. Being in an impoverished neighborhood, hanging around the wrong people, that's a really big thing. So, the heroin dealers aren't forcing the people to take the heroin. Those people are coming to them. It's not their fault. If they didn't get it from that person, they'd go to somebody else. That's how it works. If you're addicted to a certain type of coffee, but you went to Aldi and you couldn't find it, and so you went to Kroger and you couldn't find it, so you went to Walmart and maybe you couldn't find it then either. And you're like, where is it? And it just randomly shows up in Menards or something like that. The back shelf of Tractor Supply, who knows? The links people go to fulfill a desire for whatever it is they really want. That's a kind of addiction. Shopping. Online shopping. I know that's a big one. Shopping. Getting your nails done. Maybe it's the manicure. It feels so nice. I don't know. I've never had one. But I can imagine why people would like that. It's always nice to get your hands massaged. Who doesn't like a hand massage? It feels so wonderful. You wouldn't think massaging your hands would feel as wonderful as it does, but man. I mean, think of all the stuff that they gotta do for you. Your hands and your feet work the hardest. Really, they work pretty hard. They're very intricate. And, see, once again, just going off on a random tangent about hands and feet. So, yeah. Everybody has their own addiction. Drinking tea, drinking coffee, online shopping, reading books, anything. Anything, too much of anything can be bad for you. That saying, I think is true, moderation with everything. You can overdrink water. And, sometimes I stop the recording and I listen back for what I sound like, and I notice that as the evening wears on, I get more mumbly and nasally and gravelly and... Sorry. I've had to, jump around on this one today. It wasn't a full, complete session or anything like that. And I don't know if I'll be able to do those for a while, so if things sound funny, then that could be why. So, home life. But anyway, yeah, so people shouldn't judge other people for doing drugs, or people shouldn't judge people at all, really. Just mind your own business. Mind your own business, and if it doesn't affect you, then stay out of it. It's the best if you stay out of it. It's difficult sometimes. I know we're all guilty of doing stuff like that. Saying things we shouldn't have said. I know that I really think about things after I say them, and sometimes I dwell on them. And if I feel like I was rude, it tears me up. It really does. I do not like it. And the next day I might apologize. And most of the time, I've overthought it. And the people don't even know what I'm talking about. Or they're like, you're fine, So, overthinking is, I think, a human curse for some people. Just think. Sometimes a lot less do, and a lot more think. Just another thing that should be done in moderation. Thinking and doing. You gotta think and then you gotta do. But, one quote that I want to say that I really find beautiful is a quote by Buddha. There are only two mistakes one can make along the road to truth: not going all the way and not starting. So, in that spirit, I decided, what the hell? Let's give this podcast thing a go. And I'm gonna do my best to find the stuff that's out there, and I will be 100% as honest as possible. Obviously, I can only know partial truths, or partial this, partial that, because we only know the news that we've been given. You literally have to dig for stuff. Especially nowadays, it's like they're hiding everything. So, I, believe myself to be an honest person, and I would never purposely mislead anybody. What do I have to gain from that? Absolutely nothing. Who am I? Nobody. So, I want what's best for everybody. I really do. And I wish everybody could just stop fighting and get along. I really wish we could have our own little communities and just farm ourselves into oblivion and skip around and be happy and no bills. God, that'd be wonderful, wouldn't it? Collect rainwater and it would not be illegal. I mean, there are some rules that absolutely make no sense at all. No sense. So, we're going to have a lot of questions, maybe not as many answers, who knows, but we're going to talk about some things, maybe with some people, some telephone guests. I'm going to do my best to not get all up on the mic and be less mumbly as much as possible, and hopefully get better as time goes on. I don't know about all of the exterior sounds and stuff that I can't control because I don't really have a soundproof area right now. So I'm literally in my front room where cars drive by and there might be a dog bark somewhere someday. So, that being said, everybody have a great day wherever you might be. I wish you all the best. Bye, guys.